the real father. In Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, we see one of the most emotional sacrifices in the Marvel movies. During the final battle against Ego, the living planet who reveals himself as Peter Quill's biological father, the situation becomes critical. Peter gets trapped in the planet's core, which is about to collapse. The Guardians' ship is already in orbit, but Peter wouldn't survive the vacuum of space on his own. Yondu realizes the only way to save the young man is to act immediately. Without hesitation, Yondu puts the only available spacesuit on Peter and saves him from the planet. Peter manages to escape, but Yondu stays behind, facing outer space without oxygen. He dies right there in front of Peter, but knowing he fulfilled his purpose, ensuring his son's survival.
He may have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy.
No! No! Oh, no!
After his death, the Guardians hold a funeral for Yondu, honoring his sacrifice. Dozens of Ravager ships arrive to pay their respects, recognizing Yondu as a leader and reaffirming his role in the family he chose. Peter then realizes that Yondu was his true father. Yondu's sacrifice marks one of the highest points of the movie, turning the anti-hero into a true hero. Best friends. Natasha Romanoff and Clint Barton arrive on Vormir in search of the Soul Stone. The Red Skull greets them and reveals the cruel rule. To take the stone, a sacrifice is required. A soul for a soul. The tension between them is immediate. They look at each other, fully aware of the weight of the situation. They both understand that one of them has to sacrifice themselves for the greater good, but only one life is needed. Each one tries to convince the other to make the sacrifice, knowing the mission depends on someone giving up their life.
A soul for a soul.
As Thanos' army gets closer, the urgency grows. They're both willing to die. Clint seems to accept Natasha's decision, but at the last second, he tries to sacrifice himself instead. A fight between them breaks out.
Tell my family I love him.
You tell him yourself.
Clint makes a quick decision. He runs toward the cliff and, without hesitation, jumps, but Natasha saves him. They're left hanging there. Natasha begs him to let her go, and then she jumps. The fall is long and dramatic, and Clint watches every second, still trying somehow to save her. With Natasha's death, the Soul Stone is released, and Clint is able to take it. Natasha's lifeless body lies at the bottom, fulfilling the price demanded by the stone. And I admit it, this is where I cried in the theater. Logan. In a dystopian future, Logan lives as an aged, weakened Wolverine, his healing factor compromised by adamantium poisoning. He tries to live a quiet life, taking care of Professor Xavier, who is also fragile and suffering from unstable telepathic seizures. The mutant world is nearly extinct, and Logan struggles to survive, far from his old battles and threats. Things change when Logan gets involved in protecting Laura, his biological daughter, and other young mutants hunted by the Transigen Corporation. The climax happens in the final showdown with X-24, a younger, faster, and stronger clone of Logan. The fight is intense and brutal. Logan faces his own past, his weakened strength, and the threat of losing Laura. During the battle, he's gravely injured and impaled on a tree branch. In his final moments, Logan tells Laura to run with the other mutants so they'll be safe. He holds Laura's hand as his wounds finally overcome him, and Logan dies right there, ending his long journey as a hero.
This is what it feels like.
Groot. During the final battle against Ronan the Accuser, the situation on the ship becomes desperate. Ronan's ship is about to crash into the planet Xandar, and the Guardians need a quick strategy to survive. Groot sees the imminent danger and decides to sacrifice himself to protect his friends. Groot expands, forming a sphere that surrounds Rocket, Drax, Gamora, and Peter Quill.
Why are you doing this? Why?
We are Groot.
He takes the full impact of the crash, holding the ship together and preventing his friends from being crushed. The ship crashes, but Groot's structure keeps everyone safe. After the crash, Groot's sphere falls apart, leaving only his shattered trunk behind. Rocket finds his friend's remains and mourns deeply. The group feels the emotional impact of the sacrifice, realizing Groot gave his own life so they could all survive. Later, Rocket finds a small sprout from Groot's trunk and plants it in a pot. That sprout grows into baby Groot, who appears in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and has amazing scenes. The final snap. After so many years, battles, and losses, the Avengers finally had the chance to undo Thanos' snap. The tension was massive because any mistake could ruin everything. Tony Stark was already carrying a heavy past. The guilt of the New York invasion, the internal conflicts, the creation of Ultron, and his fallout with Steve Rogers. Even so, he came back to fight, knowing he could lose the family he had just built. The final battle brings together all the Avengers, Guardians, and allies.
On your left.
Each character has a moment to shine, but even united, the villain's strength seems unbeatable. He manages to grab the gauntlet and almost completes his plan again. That's when Tony realizes the only way out. He sneaks up to Thanos amid the chaos and, with his intelligence and speed, manages to steal the stones into his own armor. No one understands at first, until we see the shock on Thanos' face.
I am inevitable.
And then comes the biggest sacrifice in the MCU in the famous line.
And I am Iron Man.
Thanos and his army begin to disappear, powerless before the scene, but the cost is high. The stone's energy is devastating for a human, even with the armor's protection. Tony collapses, drained, surrounded by his friends. Quicksilver. In Avengers Age of Ultron, during the final battle in Sokovia, Ultron launches a devastating attack on the city, putting both civilians and heroes at risk. Pietro Maximoff, known as Quicksilver, sees that Hawkeye and a child are about to be hit by a hail of bullets. Without hesitation, he uses his super speed to shield them, running straight into danger. Despite his incredible ability, Quicksilver is fatally struck. The impact is brutal and he falls to the ground, unable to save himself. Wanda Maximoff, his twin sister, witnesses the whole scene and is devastated. Pietro's loss is sudden and harsh, and as if losing her brother wasn't enough, Wanda went through another heartbreaking moment. Vision. In Avengers Infinity War, the tone is heavy. Vision and Wanda are trying to escape Thanos, but they know the villain wants the Mind Stone, which sits in the android's forehead. They dream of a life together, but reality is cruel. Vision is the key to Thanos' plan to wipe out half the universe. Every step they take is filled with tension because at any moment the Titan could catch them. At the crucial moment, Vision realizes the only way to stop Thanos is to destroy the stone himself. He looks at Wanda, his partner, and convinces her that she must do it. Their love is undeniable, but duty is greater.
You can't. If he gets the stone, half the universe dies. It's not fair. It shouldn't be you, but it is. It's all right. You could never hurt me.
With trembling hands and a heavy heart, Wanda destroys the stone. Vision dies right there, and the world seems to fall silent before the tragic scene. But the tragedy doesn't end there. Thanos uses the Time Stone to rewind a few seconds and bring Vision back, only to rip the stone from his forehead. Finally, without the stone, Vision collapses once more, now for good. His body turns gray and lifeless, while Thanos completes the Infinity Gauntlet and, well, we all know that tragic Infinity War ending. Jean Grey. In the climax of X-Men 2, the X-Men face a desperate situation at the Alkali Lake military base. After an intense battle, the dam structure starts to collapse, threatening to flood the entire facility and destroy everyone inside. The X-Jet, the X-Men's ship, can't take off because of a power failure, leaving the team trapped and vulnerable. Jean Grey realizes the only way to save her friends is to use all her power to hold back the flood and give the ship enough energy to escape. With a quick and brave decision, she takes action. She steps out of the ship and focuses her telekinetic and telepathic powers to contain the rising waters, holding the structure together and keeping the X-Jet in the air. Professor Xavier reaches out to her mentally, but she is determined not to give up and to save everyone. As the waters keep rising, Jean holds on, but the extreme effort begins to take its toll. She feels there's no way out, but she stays focused until all her friends are safe and the ship can fly away. Finally, the force of the waters swallows her, ending her heroic sacrifice. Jean Grey's act saves the X-Men and ensures the mission continues, proving her courage and loyalty to the team. Her end is instant and silent, but she would return in the next film as the feared Dark Phoenix. Superman. In the climax of Batman vs. Superman, after the initial clash between the superheroes, Lex Luthor unleashes Doomsday, a monstrous creature created from Zod's DNA and Luthor's own genetic material. Doomsday is incredibly powerful, becoming an almost unstoppable adversary. His strength, resilience, and ability to regenerate make every attack dangerous, and the destruction spreads quickly through Metropolis. Batman and Wonder Woman join Superman to face the threat, trying to stop the creature from destroying the city and causing a global catastrophe. During the battle, the situation grows more and and more critical. Doomsday attacks relentlessly, and the fight feels endless, putting everyone in grave danger. Batman realizes the only way to defeat the creature is with a kryptonite spear, the substance that weakens Superman. Lois Lane retrieves the spear and gives it to Superman at the right moment, allowing him to strike Doomsday in a decisive and strategic move. Superman impales Doomsday with the spear, but the attack comes with a fatal cost. One of the creature's spikes pierces Superman, mortally wounding him as he continues the fight to protect humanity. He falls exhausted and gravely injured, but makes sure Doomsday is defeated and the city and its people are saved. After the battle, a funeral is held for the hero. In the end, the dirt on Superman's coffin begins to move, showing that his legacy didn't end there and setting the stage for his return in Justice League, Harry Osborn. Harry Osborn's sacrifice in Spider-Man 3 is one of the most powerful moments of Sam Raimi's trilogy, closing his character's arc, which had many ups and downs, and showing his reconciliation with his best friend, Peter Parker. After discovering Peter is Spider-Man, Harry takes on the identity of the new Goblin, determined to avenge his father, Norman Osborn's death. Driven by anger and resentment, he fights Peter, but an accident during their confrontation leaves him with amnesia. Suffering memory loss, Harry forgets his villain identity and his desire for revenge, briefly restoring his friendship with Peter and Mary Jane. As his memory gradually returns, his inner conflicts resurface. At the climax, Mary Jane is kidnapped by Brock. Peter needs help to fight the villains and save her. At first, Harry refuses to help Peter, but when he learns Peter wasn't responsible for his father's death and realizes the danger Mary Jane is in, he decides to step in. Venom and Sandman lure Peter into an intense and decisive battle. At a crucial moment when Peter is about to be defeated, Harry shows up to fight alongside him. What an incredible scene, my friends. The two, finally reunited, face the villains together. During the fight, Venom tries to impale Peter using the Green Goblin's glider. In an act of courage, Harry throws himself in the way to protect Peter and ends up being fatally struck by his father's own weapon. Gravely wounded, Harry spends his final moments with Peter and Mary Jane. He reaffirms his friendship with Peter, telling him they were always best friends. Professor Xavier. In X-Men: The Last Stand, Professor Charles Xavier's fate is tied to the return of Jean Grey, who comes back after the events at Alkali Lake, but she doesn't return alone. The repressed personality of the Phoenix awakens, bringing nearly unlimited telekinetic and psychic power. Xavier always knew how dangerous this was, since he had built mental barriers in Jean's mind to keep that side under control. When Jean flees to her old family home, Xavier and Magneto both follow her. Magneto tries to convince her to join his cause, promising her total freedom, while Xavier insists she regain control before she destroys herself and everything around her. The conflict between these two father figures only increases Jean's instability. At the climax of the scene, the Phoenix completely loses control. Her power begins to disintegrate the house and everything around it, creating a devastating wave of energy. Xavier tries to get closer and reach the human side of Jean, but she, consumed by the Phoenix, lifts him into the air and unleashes her fury on him. In seconds, Xavier's body begins to disintegrate until it vanishes completely in front of everyone.
Don't let it control you.
Later, at the end of the film, a post-credits scene suggests Xavier wasn't completely destroyed. His mind had been transferred into the body of a comatose patient, identified as his twin brother with no brain activity. This revelation makes it clear that, in some way, his consciousness survived, even after his sacrifice before the Phoenix. So, which of these sacrifices hit you the hardest? Drop a comment down below and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. See you soon!